going on, Shark Tank? My name is Andrew Sweeney, 26 years old. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I just recently came out with a new basketball training glove. Before we dive into that, we got to go back a couple years to see where it all started. So back in 2012, I was at the University of Maryland, College Park, getting good grades, having fun on the weekend. Ended up getting really sick. Didn't know what was going on. Ended up finding out that I had mold in my bedroom. And that's when things started to change for me. I moved back home, had to drop out of school because, my health, I could barely even get out of bed. So we started going doctor to doctor. And, the scariest part any patient can hear is when you ask the doctor, hey, what's going on? How can we treat this? And them not knowing. I went as far as, they was doing surgeries where they're sticking tubes up my nose and seeing that my lungs were inflated but not knowing what to do. Basically, I'm sick. What do I do? Doctors don't know. I ended up taking it upon myself. I'm like, you know what? I got to battle this thing head on. One of the hardest things to do when you're sick, too, is actual physical activity. It's just you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do anything. But I kind of, forced myself. What I ended up doing is I used to go down into the basement and dribble around. I used to dribble everywhere I went. I would dribble. It kept my mind off stuff. It made me not think about what was going on, all the symptoms I was feeling. So God bless my dad's soul. He's actually an engineer. He works from home. He had to put up with it, but he was just happy to see me out of bed, and that meant a lot to him. So basically what ended up happening is I started taking the basketball everywhere I went, man. Down the street, walking down the street, going down to the park, getting shots up. And through just the sport of basketball and just taking my mind to somewhere else that made me happy, I was able to beat this thing. In a couple years I was able to beat it. And in terms of, if you ask anybody, they tell you that basketball saved my life. So I ended up graduating school. I made it. I survived. What I ended up doing is what everybody does. They go and get a job. So I started working for this home improvement company. Worked there for about a year. But I always realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to, be my own boss. So after working for the home improvement company for a year, I kind of learned the ins and outs of the business, and I saw volatility in the market in terms of the roofing business, and I decided to start my own roofing business. I would go out, knock on doors, get my own jobs, get my own leads, subcontract out the work, and the margins were tremendous. So that was a great job for me outside of school, and I still actually run that to this day. So now that I started making a little bit of revenue and having some money in my pocket, I decided to reinvest in myself. And, it always brought me back to, when I was in the basement, just, playing basketball. That was just the joy of my life. And actually, when I was down there, one of the things I used was, they had this glove called Power Hands that it came out. But I didn't have the money to get that. So what I did, I found an old UFC boxing glove, and I kind of used it as a weighted glove. And, I kind of always had this idea of creating my own glove. And I kind of turned that UFC glove into something of my own. And, since I had this extra money from the roofing business that I currently do, I decided, let's try and make a prototype of this thing. How hard can it be? Well, it turned out being pretty hard. I didn't know anything. I seeked help from other people, and, nobody I knew had any history of doing anything like this. So I got myself a provisional patent. Eventually I got it to a place where, this is the best we're going to do. Let's go hit the market with it. So what you guys have all been waiting for, the product, our training gloves. So let's get them out here. I know Mark has had his eye on these, trying to get these on these Mavs players, taking them to that championship level. So what we got here, as you can see, you kind of see the resemblance of that old UFC glove that I used to dribble with in my basement. The first thing I wanted to do in terms of our training glove, I wanted to have the option of that weight coming on, and I wanted it to be able to come off. So what I did is I had a Velcro set up with a strap around it. That gave, the customer an option of whether they wanted to train with the weight on or train with the weight off. So the next thing we got here about the glove, which is pretty cool, is a fingerless glove. So you can get the actual feel for the basketball. You can still develop those calluses. You can still let that ball spin on your hands and the crossover through. That's for you, Mark, right there. So you can actually get the actual feel for the basketball. The next thing is our finger separators. So as you can see here, basically what these do is they kind of unnaturally separate your hands. You don't want your hands all together, and you want to cover more surface area. So that's super important when dribbling and having good control. The last one is what we have here is the palm deflector. So basically, you know, I'm sure my guy Mark knows, again, throwing basketball references at him, my guy Pistol Pete Maravich. He used to train players that the ball should always stay away from the palms. You want to keep the ball in your finger pads. So the cool part about this, it's a raise up in the glove right here that allows you to push the ball to the finger pads. Also, another thing Pistol taught was the open window. You want that open window when you're controlling the ball because that gives you control when you're shooting. All right, so I'm seeking $50,000 in exchange for 10% equity in my company. In terms of what we're going to use the money for, we actually needed to get more inventory, to get a bigger purchase order so we can bring our margins down in terms of what we pay per unit. Another part of the money, I think, would be strategically starting up paid marketing campaigns through social media and also just aligning ourselves with, we're already pretty close with the WNBA, but getting our reach up to the NBA and having those more high-caliber players represent our brand and our product and hopefully expand it into different products that I have some different ideas on doing down the road. So our product just recently launched about 2 months ago. We've done about $4,000 in sales. We haven't done any paid advertising yet. In terms of, we have a few marketing plans that we're going to use. Right now we've just been selling through my platform on Instagram where I have over 70,000 followers. And I'm in contact with a lot of different trainers. But what we're doing is actually I've gotten in line with a lot of WNBA players, and we're doing a social media challenge this March. It's in about 2 weeks coming up. We have 15 WNBA players that are going to be wearing the glove, posting a video of them wearing the glove, and it's going to be a challenge. And we're going to set up a voting system. Who has the best handles? I'm going to let my fans vote on it. We're going to give them discount codes. They're going to make commission off sales. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to help the WNBA grow their brand. It's going to help me grow the brand. We're all going to have fun doing it. And hopefully, Mr. Wonderful, that's right, hopefully we make some money. In terms of, we're looking at hopefully through that we'll make about $20,000 in sales. So up to this point, we invested about $12,000 into this product. $9,000 going into our first our shipment order. We get them for $7 a unit, including packaging, but it was about 2 G's in terms of getting it from Pakistan over to us. And then just some of the designs and getting the prototype, some of the money was invested in that also. So this product means a lot to me. Obviously, basketball has been instrumental in my life. It helped me overcome a lot of things.
Chop it up. Yeah.
You know, and in terms of just giving back and, you know, being a part of the basketball community to me is still very big. Just helping people improve their game and just the love of basketball, just the fun of basketball. Just getting up and down the court, yelling, talking to people, man, calling people out, you know, having fun, trash talking. I think basketball is one of the best sports in the world just because it's so communicative. And, you know, everybody's out there having fun. Even, you know, when the shot's not going in, you know, you can come up with a million excuses in the world. I think it's just one of the best sports on
Don't forget the name Lamar.
So one of the best things about the glove is it's not just a product. It's actually a category. So it's the basketball training business category. So in terms of a lot of, you know, issues with companies is they are just a product. This gives us the ability to pivot and come out with new products because, you know, product life cycle is you're about 3 years until you're plateauing, and that gives us the ability to pivot and partner with different athletes and have the ability to grow this business into a $100 million company.
13 same. 24 ultimate.
In conclusion, Shark Tank, I'd like to thank you so much for having me and moving me on to the video submission round. Couldn't thank you guys enough for what you guys do to keep the American dream alive. From a kid just dribbling the ball in a basement to, you know, maybe hopefully one day influencing and helping thousands, maybe millions of people improve their game, their basketball skills, and just finding love and escaping, you know, on the court and just the love of the game and everything that comes with it. Thanks again, Shark Tank. One love.